So, good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for having me here. Indeed, my pleasure to come and talk to all of you here. So, I have actually, I don't know how much time I have, but I've come at a time here when there's been a lot of debates going on. In fact, speakers before me was also trying to tell something which he had made my job much easier, though I think he spoke. I will just get into the context straightforward. So, we're talking about mid caps here, which has been sort of, you know, as the esteemed speaker before me mentioned about the brands, right? I think mid cap and small caps, they are sort of, they carry, their image is sort of, such that they've been always perceived that they are companies which cannot grow, or it is riskier bets and so on. But let's, dwell more on that. So I will, Helios is founded by Samir, and, these are the gents who look after the investment side, all well experienced people. But, coming straight to the topic. So India, as a country, we've been seeing that there has been, doubts on, the growth story every now and then. Whenever market falls, we start doubting ourselves sometimes, and we start doubting that whether, the returns which market has delivered, whether it will sustain or not. But India has gone through that, multiple times. We have multiple times we have seen that there have been crises, there have been government related issues, there have been, sanctions, wars, interest rate regime changes. Lot has happened, and the journey has been volatile. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, see, the India has grown, and equity markets have delivered return, and they have delivered return for a reason, that they have performed much better than the peers. If you look at the earnings growth which India has offered, they have offered much higher earnings growth compared to the emerging market basket or the US on a standalone basis. In fact, the ROEs also has been higher. And we believe that it is going to continue for reasons, talked pretty often, that India sort of enjoys a very high demographic dividend. We expect that a large number of our population gets added to the formal or the consumer base every decade. So in our estimation, there are estimates published by various forums that there are about 10 to 15 crore people get added to the formal consumer basket every decade, and that is one of the very powerful thing which is happening in India. The most educated population, hard-working population, and with the eagerness to grow, they will add tremendous value to our economy. Another point which is which has been very positive has been the stable political environment in India, which sort of slightly got shaken up in last election. But if you look at this is the third term of the ongoing government, and it has been largely stable. I think that matters a lot in economy. And then added to that is the digitization and the geopolitical advantage which we have built. But then often there is a pause, right? We get to see these pauses coming often, and there have been debates again striking whether this market cap is good or that market cap is good. The point actually boils down to that equity investing is all about participating in economic growth, and if there is a visibility of that sort of deteriorating, then that sort of boils down to even equity markets. And that is what has happened in last or maybe Q3 of this financial year, where we saw that the consumption largely collapsed in spite of festive season, picked up for a month or so, then collapsed. We saw the valuations of stocks went higher, and then we also saw government spending largely coming down massively. Now this so these things happen over election year in general, because government is generally not spending, so the lag effect of that sort of moves to the next year. So this happens most of the time, we get to see, and result of that, we saw there are major cuts in terms of prices across the board, across the market, right? But then there was corrective measure which was taken. So what were the corrective measure? The corrective measures were, so if you have attended our Chai Pe Charcha, which we do at Helios every Friday, first Friday of the month, where we don't talk on product and rather we do something like what you guys do, in terms of debating what is happening in the market, what are the challenges and how to stay put, and how to, sometimes, how to, give yourself a positive stroke in terms of, staying positive. So we've been talking about this, that growth was slowing down visibly, and then capex, which is government spending, had added fuel to that lower spending because of obviously election year, and then the rain, monsoon season getting extended and all that had impacted. And we were of a view that now that at the juncture where we are seeing continuous FII flows, pressure on currency, higher valuation, and earnings cut coming in, it was time to relook at growth. In fact, on a YOY basis, the third quarter growth number was also printed very lower, right, way below the average. And that was something worrisome. And the point which we were debating is that if this has to change, then there has to be a collective measure done by not only the central bank, while rate cut is one of the way to stimulate the economy and get the growth or the animal spirit back in the economy, but there has to be a lot of thing which was to be done by government also. And we were expecting that, okay, let's see what happens, in fact. And then on 1st of Feb, is when the budget happened, and budget was pro consumption. There was, it was according to us, it was one of the best budget, and then followed by a rate cut, which was sort of, people were debating essentially because the currency had slided, more rate cut would have narrowed the yield, and there were multiple theories, right? But essentially, in our reckoning, if you were to bring back an investor, which is, termed as FII, then you need to show growth. Nobody would come and invest, where, they are able to clearly visible that there is no growth. No growth means no corporate earnings. No corporate earnings means no return on equity. No return on equity means, you will not make return, right? It was very simple. And then, you were losing on your cost of capital also by staying put. So it was very simple thing to, for them to exit, whatever they have exited. And plus the Japanese yield moving up, which would have further triggered the yen carry trade unwinding and so on. So all these led to that. So the positive thing which changed after the budget was, the steps taken to balance the growth drivers by, giving money in the hand of real public, or intent to give that 1 lakh crore. Now, what happens, with that is that 1 lakh crore, when it looks, it looks like 1 lakh crore, but it has a multiplier effect. Essentially, the money moving from one hand to the another hand. So it's called as marginal propensity to consume. Now, when we look at that multiplier effect and its velocity of, transmission of that money, so two things. One is how much will it add to the GDP? If you look at on a standalone basis, or the GDP number, on an 184 lakh crore of GDP number, this 1 lakh crore which will be given over next 12 months, and which will be, if assume that, half of that gets spent, because, there would be leakages in terms of, some money going to savings and so on. So it doesn't get spent completely, 100%. But even half of that comes, that gives a multiplier effect of 1.2, which in our recurring, sort of adds about 50 basis point to the overall GDP. So that's number one. Number two is 25 basis point rate cut. Look at the outstanding loans. If you look at housing loan outstanding would be about 27 lakh crore, right? And on that, if you say a 20-year crore rupee loan, would have an EMI of about 86,000, which maybe could get, further, revised downward. It will take we will come to the times, time horizon of this entire transmission. But, it leaves about another 14,000 over and above, say a 12 lakh, income guy getting about 80, 84, 86,000, residual in hand. So that's the biggest sum in terms of the multiplier effect which we see, and that. So the transmission, according to us, happens in this way. That is just a housing loan EMI. So it it basically how the disposable income grows, and then it brings in many people into the ambit of housing loan. Right now, there are so many people who would be out of that scope because of the disposable income which they have, because banks also looks at that, when they are lending, that how much you can cover up in terms of your AMI after spending. So it brings a lot of people, and then the impact of that goes into housing loan sales, and then there is the overall transmission of that happening in the economy. If you see US, it's a very simple example that if they want to control their consumption, they have to just go and increase the interest rates, and if they have to spur the economic growth, they have to just come, and because unlike India, there is they have consumer discretionary and housing. These are the two things to control that. In India, we have to control also our currency, because if you do too much of you have to manage oil, because we are a net import driven economy, and if you do too much of cut, it impacts us on various fronts, and then it finally impacts us in terms of inflation. So you need to do calibrated cuts in a very known manner. So all this, in our estimation, would result in somewhere about 12% kind of a EPS growth on the Nifty companies. And when we talk about multiplier effect on the GDP, we also estimate that there is a multiplier effect of GDP getting converted into the corporate earnings of various corporates, which is large cap company or a mid cap company or a small cap company. But ultimately, the multiplier is like somewhere between 1 to 2, 1x to 2x. So in our reckoning, this data is basically on 31st Jan, and after that we have seen a lot of correction even further. So we believe that it is normalized. Earlier there was an era when we used to trade at discount. Right now, if you look at India always used to trade at premium of 1% vis-a-vis US, but currently it trades at 10% discount, and it is trading at 16% premium to its long-term averages. Now that was as on 31st January, but in my reckoning it has come down. So why are we talking, and why are we talking about mid cap? Essentially because we look at mid cap is basically, mid cap companies are largely linked to the growth in the economy. They are the ones which sort of respond to the economic growth. If the growth in the economy is good, they offer growth, and that's why this debate that why mid caps or small caps trade at premium. They trade at premium because they offer you higher growth. Period. There is no two debates on that. If they offer higher growth, if a company offers higher growth, it is supposed to be getting higher price expansion, and that is what happens. So hence, if you look at mid caps, if you look at India, there is one side which is BFSI, IT, commodities, which India's growth initially has been propelled by that. But today that is no more limited to these sectors. The new India is which is renewables, electronics, manufacturing, real estate, the consumer services, especially digital. All these have are from mid cap and small cap segment. They represent that, and it is no more only an advantage for a large cap company. Today the funding and the logistical, the distribution advantages are available for even a mid and small cap company. And then what are we talking about? We are talking about mid caps, which is basically after 100 and below 250, which is, if you look at in market cap terms, a decade back, these were largely would have been considered as large caps. So the point is that if you look at the mid caps, how they have delivered, they basically, if you look at, there is a hard infra and the soft infra, right? The hard infra is basically the roads, the soft infra. So there are two segments of India, right? So the second segment largely, which is, contributing to these larger businesses, are represented by mid cap. They obviously trade at valuation or a premium to, to large cap, but they trade at premium to large cap for a reason, that is they offer higher growth. And that is what we estimate also. We believe that, in last 5 years, if you look at the EPS CAGR of mid cap and the small cap, we expect mid caps, to rebound well, and to offer a higher earnings growth from here. And hence, if you look at on a standalone basis, you take only PE and, evaluate, you will see that it is expensive. But when you look at it vis-a-vis the growth it can potentially offer, it looks reasonable to us. And then, what we did is that we are sticking out right now our neck, and we are saying that was the best time to buy. In fact, Helios, for the first time, is launching we have launched our NFO also. So to, give confidence to people that come by, because historically what we have seen is that, the money is being made, during these volatile times. Mid caps have outperformed. If somebody is saying that large caps will do well, mid caps will follow through. So it's not happening in the history. It has not happened that small, large caps have done well and mid caps have not followed through, or mid caps have fallen and large caps haven't. We have seen that both have. And outperformance has been good. In fact, the debate, to put two things to rest, is one, that we did a study of the 10-year rolling of SIP returns, and 10-year returns of rolling returns of SIP. And what we have seen, that 97% time the mid caps have delivered return greater than 10%, almost 90% times 13%, and 80% time greater than 15%. In fact, we did study from 2008 also, and that data also suggested so there is about 15% kind of a return. So there is no hurry to go and stop SIPs right now. I think it should be continued, because it has built wealth to people. And in fact, there are a lot of mid caps which have already corrected. This is as on 31st Jan data, because we are as per regulation we are supposed to maintain. But after that also, there is so much of correction, and there are about 120 stocks which have corrected upwards of 35%, and there would have been many more which would have corrected beyond that. So the point is that, if people are waiting for correction, I think it has happened already. What is looking forward for us is that, how much growth can come, and what is that it is available at. I think it looks fairly decent time to start building a portfolio. And then, irrespective of what is being told, people have money today to invest, or people have money to do SIPs. I think all three model works very well, fine. I think what matters is, time in the market, then timing the market. I think, whichever mode of investment you choose, you do lump sum, you do SIP, I think wealth creation happens in market. So I think staying put in the market, investing in the market is more important than to decide whether to put lump sum, or do a lump sum and SIP, or only SIP. All three can build wealth. So with that, I will rest my case, and if there are questions, I'm happy to take questions. Sorry? Yeah, so I don't have it here, but my flexi cap, before the peak, my flexi cap had gone to, I think, 48%, right? And right now it is at about 30%. So we had, at the peak, we had a outperformance of over 10% with the index. That was the largest fund which we have done. Yeah. Yes. Okay, I'll tell you. So, no, so basically, financial services tracks the banking and financial index, number one. So the point is that we get tracked on outperforming the financial services index also, right? Now, if you look at cumulatively ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank in the financial services index, they are almost 52%. We are 30%. So we are not overweight. We are underweight. First of all. Now, second coming, I think we look promising, prospects of HDFC Bank. For us, banking as a whole pack, we look forward that it should do well, because it is one thing which is trading at same valuations right now, right? So that's one of the reason. And second thing is, if we are talking of economic growth, I think if growth has to come back, banks also should do well, right? So that obviously finds, if you look at any index, they have the highest weightage. So if I go massively underweight on that, then at some point of time you will start questioning our performance also. So you need to keep that weight, but we are not too overboard, but we have diversified financial basket in all the portfolios. If you look at, it's not that too overboard we are, but right now we look, we believe that the prospect of financials is much better, from a 1-2 year perspective from here. So we are bullish on financials as a house also. So that is reflecting in our portfolios. So tech, financials, these are some of the ideas where we are bullish.
Gee, nice insights here. Yeah. Thank you very much for your nice insights. How do you focus about 100% FDI in insurance? If there is any folio in your mid-cap in insurance sector?
Sorry,
How do you focus about 100% FDI in insurance?
Okay. How is the okay? What's the outlook on insurance?
Yeah.
See, I think it is basically pro for the country growth also, because one, it brings in some money also to the country, and that's obviously good, and that. But the point is, I think insurance by itself, is going through a lot of changes, right, in terms of business model. And as we mentioned, so both the businesses are under penetrated, be it insurance, be it mutual fund, right? In terms of, if you have heard us in our financial presentation, we have said that financial as such, be it credit cards, be it your be it credit card, be housing loan, be it insurance, or be it mutual funds, all are massively under penetrated. And in our view, as the demographic dividend kicks in, and as many people come into this ambit, you will see more consumption of these products. So that was one of the reasons why we came up with a very well diversified financial services product. Sorry. See, it's very very difficult question to answer, because I think the sentiment has been slightly tepid because of various statements, but we still expect that, see, the point is, there are two things in this, whatever collection comes, we'll accept it happily. We are expecting that it should be upwards of 300-400 crores. That's number one, because we are also seeing optimists, who want to right now, who share the same thoughts as we share, and they want to participate in mid-cap, and they want to participate in mid-cap from Helios fund. But the bigger objective of this is that, if you note, mid-caps, the money has been made through largely, rupee cost averaging, right? So the objective is to place the product there, because I will be, the fund who will not be going through redemption cycle due to all this, news or whatever is happening. So we will get a free hand to build portfolio, and we'll be continuously getting one side inflows into the portfolio. So that's the thought with which, that's one of the other thought which has, made us launch the product, a part of the valuation comfort which we sort of have developed. So see, if the consumption thing kicks in, then slowly, gradually, there are various things which are various moving parts of it. So there are segments like financials, obviously is good. Then pharma, tech is something which we are tech services. We are positive. Some bit will also benefit the specialty chemical baskets. So we have, if we get, then eventually it will move into affordable housing, and then the consumption companies, right? I think the consumer companies basically, or the discretionary consumers, right? Over a period of time, as the transmission of money happens in the, and market basically preempts all these things. So we expect that in 3-6 months max, you will see again the kind of spirit which was there, coming back in terms of people investing. So as the this quarter itself, the government spending number has been positive, right? And the April onwards, the money, disposable money coming in people's hand will start moving up. So I think all those things positively will impact the market, and we expect various sectors which are laggards also to pick up, like NBFCs also to eventually start doing well as the rate cut regime progresses.